you for tuning in and staying with us. I remain Dayo Lujumo of Aspheric TV. Keep on watching Aspheric TV for we light up the news sphere. Thank you for tuning in and staying with us. I remain Dayo Lujumo of Aspheric TV. Keep on watching Aspheric TV for we light up the news sphere.
Out. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly rise to welcome the honorable ministers. While we are still standing, we'll just take the national anthem at once. After the count of 3, please. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. Please remain standing as we're going to take the national prayer, which is the second stanza of the national anthem. We're going to recite it, not sing it, please. Second stanza of the national anthem. After the count of 3 again. 1, 2, 3. O God of creation. Thank you very much. You may be seated. The Honorable Minister of Transportation, His Excellency Right Honorable Chibike Rotimi Amechi, the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, the Honorable Minister of State for Transportation, our own distinguished Senator Gbemisola Rukaya Saraki, our able Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Transportation, Dr. Magdalene Ajani, board chairman here present, directors of the ministry here present, heads of agencies here present, team members here present, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great pleasure to welcome you to the 2020 annual ministerial briefing of the Federal Ministry of Transportation, holding at the Press Center, Radio House, Abuja. Without wasting time, I crave your indulgence for us to go into the program proper. For now, I'm going to call on the Minister of State for Transportation, distinguished Senator Gbemisola Saraki, to give us the welcome address. This should be working. It's not working. Can you manage?
Yes, let me take your. I just hope you don't have COVID. Okay. The Honorable Minister for Transportation, my dear brother. The Honorable Minister, you see, I'm surrounded by my brothers today because the Honorable Minister for Information, my big brother, my sister, the Permanent Secretary, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stand on the protocol that already stands, and I promise not to take too much of your time. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you all today to be part of this historic event of the 2020 Ministerial Press Briefing of the Federal Ministry of Transportation. This briefing is to acquaint the Nigerian people, through you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, of the landmark programs, projects and activities of the ministry and all its agencies. We all know that transportation is key to the socio-economic development of any nation, and even more so in Nigeria. We therefore cannot overstate our responsibility within the ministry and its agencies to deliver an economically viable, sustainable, and accessible transportation system to all Nigerians. This is key to economic growth and the overall welfare of our citizens. The briefing today is an important and vital part of reaching our goals. Without the public awareness, our objectives will be more difficult to implement. It is a Nigerian citizen that we are here to serve. Thus, without much further ado, the Honorable Minister of Information, my brother, the Honorable Minister of Transportation, distinguished senators and honorable members of the National Assembly, ladies and gentlemen of the press, distinguished guests, on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Transportation, I welcome you all to our 2020 press briefing. Thank you.
A round of applause for her again, please. Now I have the singular honor and privilege to invite the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, to give us his remarks. Honorable Minister, please.
You can see there's a lot of discrimination in this place. When they introduced the Minister of Transportation, they said His Excellency Right Honorable. When they introduced the Minister of State Transport, they said Distinguished Senator. When it was my turn, it was simply Alhaji. Thank you very much. Now, Honorable Minister of Transportation, my sister, the Honorable Minister of State, Transportation, Permanent Secretary, Directors, of the Ministry of Transportation, heads of parastatals and agencies. It gives me a lot of pleasure to be here today, because the Ministry of Transportation has been one ministry that have been monitoring its activities from the beginning of this administration. And I think, especially in the area of rail transportation, I've been with the honorable ministers on virtually every tour and inspection of the project, of their projects, because it is through the Ministry of Transportation in particular that we are very confident this administration will leave a lasting legacy. The doggedness, the focus of the two ministers in delivering the rail projects and other projects, I think has been quite singular. And I'm glad to say that many times when I face the media and they ask me what has the administration achieved, one of the easiest things to tell them is actually what we are doing in the area of transportation. I don't think I want to preempt the Honorable Minister of Transportation, who is going to give his address, but suffice to say that the whole nation is looking forward to when we are going to commission the Lagos-Ibadan standard rail, the Ajaokuta Warri rail has been in use, and I was going through my WhatsApp the other day and I saw how the people of the South, how they made abundant use of this railroad during the Easter period. I hope that we are going to commission the Lagos-Ibadan Express, Lagos-Ibadan standard rail very soon also. But in all, I'm very proud to be associated with the Ministry of Transportation. Thank you very much.
A round of applause for the distinguished Honorable Minister of Information and Culture. Baba, I remain loyal. But you must realize that charity begins at home. I wish to also recognize stakeholders in the transport sector here present. I wish to also recognize members of the diplomatic corps if they are here with us. Right now, I have the singular honor and privilege to invite His Excellency, the Minister of Transportation, Right Honorable Chibuike Amechi, to give us his remarks.
Now, who is cheated? She said, I want to invite His Excellency, just one title. Honorable Minister, Alhaji. 2. Your Excellencies, the Honorable Minister for Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, and my dear sister, who is a distinguished senator. There can never be a former senator. Once you're a senator, you're a distinguished senator. And our dear PAMSEC. You know, when they were appointed, somebody said you're in trouble. I said, why? 2 women. I said, you're not a Christian. Go to the Bible. What did the Bible say? Who are the Christians here? What did the Bible say? Blessed are you amongst. Every morning I get my blessings. Now, I want to do 2 things. In the ministry, the 2 of us are politicians. She's not. So what she did is to do the public service work or civil service work. I want to ask you, do you want us to go the public service way or the political way? Which of them? Political way means I will just explain the thing and we'll sit down and you ask questions. Civil service means I will read it to, and it's 29 pages. Check now. Which one do you choose? Pressman. Pressman, which one? Because I saw even haulage she put, even semi-border. What am I doing with semi-border? She put everything we'll leave here by 1 o'clock. Oh. If we do that, by 1 we have not finished. And you will ask questions based on, let me just show you an example. She picked up everything. And as politicians, we're a bit impatient with such details, is it not? Let me show you an example. She picked, I'm looking for rail. Some of the things she picked for rail that are not, she even said that, listen, but that will interest you. She said we paid back a total of 420 million naira on the loan, on the Kaduna Abuja loan, within the period that, no, we did well, but it's not necessary for now. She talked about the Lagos Mass Transit up to the point of knowing that we have moved 13,000 passengers. I'm sure you don't want to know the number of passengers we have moved in Lagos Ibadan for now because we're not running. So I will just do quickly sector by sector breakdown and do an analysis of those sector breakdown. It doesn't interest you to know our goal. You already know that we're functioning. We are a ministry with several parastatals, NIMASA, Railway Corporation, Nigerian Ports Authority, Nigerian Shippers Council, Inland Waterways Authority, Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology, Maritime Academy of Nigeria, Council for the Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria. They are all agencies. So I won't bore you by going to the mandates that we have, the goal of the ministry, the structure of the ministry, the departments, the specialized units. Are they necessary for this conversation? Yeah, so that's why I say, you know, as a public servant, you should go for the details, which is good for me. Meaning that if I'm making a mistake, she will call me back. But for this kind of political gathering, no, she should keep her public service rules. Let's do it the political way so we can leave early. She talked about ERGP. How many of us know ERGP here? As a minister, I should know ERGP because I contributed to the conversation. It's essentially the economic program of the government with which we believe if we comply with the policies, we'll be able to grow the economy and take us out of poverty. Then she did the legal framework, policy trust and regulatory framework. We'll jump that. The national transport policy. The only thing you need to know about the national transport policy is that there's a committee having a conversation with the Office of the Vice President, and in attendance is myself, the Honorable Minister of State for Transport, Minister for Works, Finance, Minister for Finance, the Office of the Vice President, chaired by the Vice President. We intend to come up with a national transport policy before this year will run out. We intend to come up with that. And the ministry is dealing with the draft national maritime policy. But if you remember, the Honorable Minister of State, we said all of them will take off from the national transport policy. So whatever you want to write about maritime, put it in the national transport policy. If at all will allow you to call the national maritime transport policy, it may not go to cabinet because it will be an offshoot of the national transport policy. The same with the national road transport policy. The Minister of State came with a huge and well-detailed document on the national road transport policy, which will be a part of the national transport policy. Then the road transport transformation program was introduced by the Minister of State. Like you know, it's accessibility and affordability. If you read it, I'm sure they'll give you a copy. And how to make it not just intermodal, but sustainable environmental wise. So she's dealing with the security, the safety, and efficiency of road transportation. And then issue of urban mass transit. Then, and how it impacts on AFTA. AFTA is African Continental Free Trade Agreement and other detailed guides for the road transport sector, which is currently largely underdeveloped among other modes. The regulatory framework is, I hope National Assembly won't be angry with us, but there are about 4 bills with the National Assembly. There are 4 bills. In fact, I don't know, for me, one of the most important ones is the National Transport Commission, right? Which we have been the economic managers of the other agencies. That bill is out, but there are some minor corrections here and there. If you ask me, I just thought that we could deal with those corrections, get the Assembly to note those corrections, and we send to the President to sign. But the problem with that is that they don't just seek Ministry of Transport advice. They go to everybody to seek the advice. By the time it returns, we are back again to the National Assembly. I think we need to sit down, everybody. The way to sort it out, everybody involved in that sector should sit and sort it out once and for all, so that we don't have to be going back and forth into the National Assembly for corrections. But you are aware that the Suppression of Piracy and Other Related Offences Act has been passed under our regime. Well, the next sector is the railway sub-sector. I will just run through it. There's nothing new that I will tell you that you don't already know. In fact, I was surprised that the Honorable Minister of State was the person reminding me of all of them. She reminded me, let me take it the way she reminded me. She reminded me of the ones who've completed and we are running. So if you want to say the ones who've completed and we are running, we've completed Itabewari. I started with that because I'm a South-South person and know all politics is local. So let me start from my local area. And I say that too, apart from being a South-South person, the claim by my brothers in the South-South that we have done nothing in the South-South. And meanwhile, people from Warri always text me, I don't know how they get my number, that transport from Benin or Warri by air to Abuja is 60,000 naira. I didn't know that. If you go by bus, it's about 25,000 naira. But if you go by our train, it's 6,000 naira. Which one would you prefer to go with? By rail. Because if you bought the train at Warri to Itabe, 2,500. That's all they collect from you. Despite the fact I think the MD is not being fair to us. He's doing Barabo. I think he's collecting 2,500. I think he's doing the same in Ibadan and the same in Kaduna. Despite the fact that I said to them they should collect 3,000 naira. I don't know why he should bring it down to 2,500. So imagine that they pay 2,500 from Itabe to, maybe from Warri to Itabe. And then they pay bus services or taxi. It says air-conditioned taxi service. So they pay air-conditioned taxi service from Itabe to Abuja, 3,500. That's what brings it to 6,000 naira. So you see how much they are saving. Still, they will say Buhari is doing nothing, despite the fact that he has saved you a lot of money that's put back in your pocket. So we've completed that. We've completed and it's functioning. That's where you got this 420 million naira, the Kaduna, Abuja, and the pressure is building. But MD, I hope you have what's up. They are sending us, there's a news, this they sent to us. I think it was Jimmy Lawal that sent it to me, where they were comparing what is happening in our railway, Kaduna, Abuja, to what? I forgot to ask, and I forwarded it to you. I have consistently said that your staff would try to breach what we put in place. And if you match ID to the purchaser, then there will be no problem. But you see, when they want to breach it, they won't ask you, where is your ID? So I hear that they sold the tickets that they buy for 2,500 during Easter. They sold it for 10,000 naira. Imagine what the man would have done with his 7,500 naira if he got to Kaduna with 2,500. That's quite unfair. They should not bring me back to come to work at Idu or Kubwa. They should not. We put a system in place, and that's why it is important that Nigerians know that our Nigerians are smart. I don't know how God gave them that smartness. Everybody was shouting, electronic ticket, we've done it now, so we should go and sleep. They are breaching it every day. They go and buy the ticket. They buy as much as 10, 15, and then I suspect they compromise our staff not to ask for ID, because ID is required for you to buy the ticket. So when they buy in bulk, they come and sell. But if the staff of Nigerian local corporation insist that every ticket must match the identity, then they won't do it. And you need to know the benefit. The benefit is not only because you're trying to eradicate ticket racketeering. Security is essential. A man who may be a bomber may be given a ticket that does not belong to him, and he boards. And then we're in trouble. So we must match the ticket to the face carrying the ticket so that we don't run into security problems. And I want MD to correct me in this. I thought you gave me the information, either you or the woman that's operating the ticketing. The difference after operational cost before used to be 70 million naira. Now here is 120. That's what I was told. So if the difference between 70 and 120, it means that what you've done is to eradicate the corruption that was in the manual process in the railway subsector. We've also completed the Lagos to Ibadan. That one too, I saw it in social media, everybody was jubilating how beautiful it is. You can compare it to the railway in UK, Manchester, and all that. And I called my MD. I said, MD, see the same people that are praising us. Let the toilet go bad and see what they will say. The same people will say how old we are, how we've used the money for toilet to buy cars for ourselves, how arrogant, all sorts. So when Nigerians praise me, I don't usually clap for myself. I wait, because the day you make a mistake, they will forget all the good things that you've done. So these are the 3 rail lines that we've completed. And they are, you already know, one is 186 kilometer, one is 156 kilometer. I think the one for Itabewari is about 325 to 350 kilometers. I can't remember now. Then we have awarded the following contracts, and we're about to start. The other problem we have, we've even tried to solve the financial problems, but we have the problem of having to hire consulting engineers. And the ones that we're about to start are Ibadan to Kano. That we're waiting for funds from China, Ibadan to Kano. We're about to start Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. We have a bit of the funds, but we're waiting for the cabinet to approve the consulting engineers. We are also about to start, I think we've gotten some money on that, the famous Kano Maradi. We're also about to start that. And Lagos to Calabar. That again concerns me, who comes from the south. But one thing that is unique about all these contracts is that the president, early enough in his government, directed that all rail lines must terminate at the seaport. That's why if you see, there may be a bit of adjustment in the pricing. I hope they don't hear us, even though there are cameras here. There may be a bit of adjustment in the pricing of Kano Maradi, because we had to adjust Kano Maradi to link up to Lagos, Kano Lagos, so that they can terminate at the Lagos seaport. If not, Kano Maradi will just end at whether north or south of Kano, and that's it. We said no, it must link the Kano Lagos rail line so that they all terminate at the seaport. So all our rails must terminate at the seaport. The one from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri is not only terminating at the Port Harcourt seaport, it's going from Port Harcourt seaport to Bonny, where we're building a new seaport, a new deep seaport. That one will convey both goods and passengers, beginning from Port Harcourt all the way to Duse, to Gashua, and to Maiduguri. I may want to, for political reasons, because again, people will say, oh, well, Enugu is not there, Umuahia is not there. Now, it will start off from Bonny. I don't want to say it will start off from Port Harcourt. It will start off from Bonny to Port Harcourt, Port Harcourt to Aba to Owerri. Yeah, no, Port Harcourt to Owerri, Port Harcourt to Aba. Because at the end of the war, it will tee off to Owerri. Then continue to Aba to Umuahia, Umuahia to Enugu. Enugu, it will tee off, if we get approval from the president and cabinet, it will tee off to Oka and to Abakaliki, and continues to Makurdi, Makurdi to Lafia, Lafia to Jos. Around Jos, around Kafancha or so, or I think so, it will tee off to Kaduna to link up with the Western Line. The Western Line is standard gauge. The Western Line, it will tee off to Kaduna. So if actually you're coming from Port Harcourt and you want to go to Kaduna, Kano, or Lagos, you actually can go. You can go from Port Harcourt up to Jos, and then you join the one going to Kaduna, and then from there you can go to any part of the Western Line you want to go to. But from Jos, it continues to Bauchi to Gombe, Gombe to Damaturu, Gombe to Maiduguri, Gombe to Damaturu, Damaturu to Gashua. That's the eastern line. There's a huge argument. Oh, why did you have to do it, the narrow gauge reconstruction? Simple. We have two approvals. The two approvals are as follows. We have the standard gauge approval that is between 11 to 14 billion dollars from Port Harcourt to the same alignment, no changes. It's the same. It will go to all these places, but it's costlier. So, and I know that the country is not buoyant enough to bear 11 to 14 billion dollars cost now. So why not we fix the narrow gauge? No, we're not repairing. We are reconstructing. That's why you can see thieves are going. They are going about stealing the track. So we'll construct a similar thing, but you see the difference. The difference is, let's even assume 11, between 11 and 3 billion, huge difference. And the speed is, one is 120 kilometers, one is 100 kilometers. Okay, I'm being unfair. One is 100 kilometers, the other is 150 kilometers. 100 kilometers design speed, but can go 80. The other one is 150 kilometers design speed, but goes 120. So the difference, maybe 20 kilometers difference, or okay, maybe 40 kilometers difference. And you are paying $11 billion for just 40 kilometers difference. No, I agree. Everybody will say so, because in Nigeria, everything is determined by politics, not economics. So the argument I get from those who are on the eastern line, oh, it's not that it's our turn. That's when you know narrow gauge. And I ask, Port Harcourt is where? Where is Port Harcourt? River State, because I was the governor of River State. So why didn't I say, okay, since I'm from River State, let's do that. When do we start thinking as Nigerians? When do we know that 11 billion, we could use it to build hospitals in Enugu, we could use it to build roads to Calabar, we could use it to build roads to Sokoto? When do we start thinking that way? When the difference is just speed. It's about 40 kilometers difference. What's there? So if it takes you 1 hour to get to Enugu by standard gauge, it takes me 1 hour 40 minutes. What's the difference? I'm just thinking about how many Nigerians think like me. I think Nigeria, I'm very detribalized. But those of you who think about your villages, God bless you. God should bless you and your village. And since it's become political, I need to say this, I don't know if the president will be angry. The president refused to approve this narrow gauge for more than 2 to 3 years. He was insisting on standard gauge. So I said, okay, he approved the two, but he didn't approve narrow gauge until late. Why did I have to put pressure for him to approve narrow gauge by that time? Is that we are still battling to get money for Lagos, Ibadan. Lagos, Calabar, Ibadan to Kano. Up to now, we're battling to get money. Then you want to add another one that may be difficult to get to, the 11 to 14 billion dollars. If you do that, I hope we are careful not to miss any part of the country. That's the most important thing. Because this part of the country is not about you. It's not about the politics of it. It's about the economics of it. It's about the fact that there are cargoes from Maiduguri and other parts of the north that are natural resources that need to be moved to the water and out of the country. So why should I wait? Because somebody is afraid that they will say he doesn't like people from the southeast or people from the northeast. Me, I'm from where? Okay, for the purpose of the presidency and everything, I'm from southeast. They should go and bring police. See, don't think where you come from, think Nigeria. So the essence of doing, but these are the two prominent issues in railway that I need to tackle. The essence of doing the southeast, the narrow gauge, the reason for doing it is just to move persons and cargo. And whether you move them by standard gauge or by narrow gauge, you will still get to where you're going to. And I come from that area, and I'm proud to say that I'm happy that we're doing a narrow gauge rail line from Port Harcourt up to Maiduguri. The next one I want to go into before you start asking your question on railway will be the issue of Kano to Maradi. There are so many reasons. The first reason is that the ECOWAS protocol for which we signed requires most countries to do an ECOWAS railway line. The one that's given to us is from Kano to Maradi and Lagos to, is it Seme or Benin Republic? Those are the two. So what's wrong if we start from Kano Kano to Maradi, and we'll still do Lagos to this thing. And I want, and I like all Nigerians to listen to this. It will interest you. We are doing what do you call it? We are doing gas pipeline to Ghana. Nobody quarreled about it. Did you hear anybody argue about it? Did you hear anybody argue about the gas pipeline to Ghana? So why the argument about Kano to Maradi? Why? And I take another I read in the social media yesterday. I'm not supporting anyone. I'm not for or against. I'm just at the middle. Now, but look at this argument. They said from 2006, or when was Obasanjo president, up to good luck, there were about 11 years for which Southerners had been IG, right? There was no quarrel. Any quarrel? Because I was alive, I never died. But now there's a quarrel going forward. I'm not saying that I'm supporting who gets appointment, who doesn't get appointment, but I'm just saying that let us not discriminate where to quarrel, where not to quarrel. Whenever there is wrong in any part of the country, please let us say it. Let us not be saying only on one side. So for that type of worry, Kano Maradi, the railway takes you up to Jibia. Jibia is in Nigeria, right? Just 20 kilometers into Maradi, and we're shouting. Okay, we will take back the 20 kilometers, if that's the problem. Because you can't deny all the people that live around that they can't get rail line. But what are the advantages of having to get the 20 kilometers? We are trying to work out an agreement with Niger Republic that national cargoes from Niger Republic will go on our rail. That's huge money for Nigerians who do business in Lagos, around Kano. One young man was abusing me that I don't know economics. Tell him I didn't read economics. But I know elementary economics to the point that demand and supply. When I say there will be hotels for those who want accommodation, there will be those who will pay for the rail line and the conveyance of cargoes and all that. Now, for just that 20 kilometers, not only what are the national cargoes? Gold and uranium. Then there are other private businessmen who want to do business using the rail line. Why are they not using our seaport? They're not using our seaport because you have people who complain about crime on the road, that the roads are bad. They have different checkpoints of different agencies in Nigeria. So the cost of doing business in Nigeria is higher than the cost of doing business in Benin. So they prefer to use Benin Republic, which is cheaper, than use Nigeria. All we have done is to solve that problem by putting a rail up to Maradi to enable them move their cargoes from Maradi without the interference of those agencies. No police. The only police you will see is the police in the train. No checkpoint, no armed robbers, nothing until you get to the Lagos seaport. And we're working out an agreement with them that by the time you get to Lagos seaport, you don't need to go through any checks because that will have been done at Maradi. So it is just to load your goods into the seaport, into the ship. And I forgot to say that there's the Itabe Warri has been extended to Itabe to Abuja. It's been approved, but the gentlemen came to us and said they wanted to do PPP. We gave them PPP. Now they're asking for contract. Maybe that will be resolved before we leave. But they are also to build a seaport in Warri, a new seaport in Warri. So without opening the book, I seem to have finished what railway. Well, everybody knows that we are implementing the 25-year strategic railway plan, which is almost coming to an end. Usually, we don't talk about coaches and, but Madam put it, coaches and locomotives. I tell people, and I've told you this before, interstate coaches, locomotives, don't look as beautiful as the one you see. But because of people, in the purchase of our locomotives, we have to design it. We have to ask them to make extra design that makes it look a bit beautiful. Because you have a way of bringing the actual interstate locomotive and compare it with intracity locomotive and say, see the type we bought, Lord Lugard type. And then that Kenya is buying Buhari's type. So we have decided to try to change it a bit to look. Madam, I won't say all these ones. All these ones of repeater sites and all that, those ones are details. Nigerians don't know those ones. Do you know that we use signaling and all that? How many people know that there's what is called signaling and telecommunication and railway? No need to talk about that. All the Nigerians want to know is that they enter train and get to Kaduna or wherever they're going to. That's even, but it's a bit good to talk about it. When Nigerians say, why do we stop for other trains to pass? We shall not double track. What are you doing double track for when it takes you only 5 minutes or 10 minutes for that train to pass? So you spend another $4 to $5 billion just for 5 minutes or 10 minutes for that train to pass. You can actually use one track unless the volume of business increases in such a way that you can't manage one track. Then you can build a second track. But Nigerians are still behaving as if those days when Gowon had money. Now we don't have money. We're looking for money to pay salaries in most companies and most states. Then with the little money we have, we're building second track. The second track is, if you say now Lagos Kano is about 30 million tons of cargo. If we're making about 100 million tons of cargo in Lagos Kano, we must do a second track. But we're not doing that. Somebody asked me, there was this video that they showed around about one, whether in India or which country, that we are moving about 200 tons of cargo in one distance. Whether we can do it in Nigeria. I hope you saw the one that Nigerian Railway Corporation did yesterday from Itabe from Warri, going to Itabe. I'm sure there are more than 200 tons of cargo there. It shows that we have the capacity, but do you have the goods? If you have the cargo, come forward, we'll move it for you. No, I won't say all those how many passengers will carry weekly. Those are details. We've talked about the fund. Maritime subsectors. I will again not look at these details. I'll just give you a brief of what I know about maritime subsectors. You see, one good thing about here is that any question you ask that is difficult, we call the person in charge, the managing director in charge. That's what we do, or the representative of the managing director that is in charge. The first thing is there are about 3 or 4 agencies in the maritime sector. There is the MPA, there is the MASA, there is NIWA. Why do we put man on? Is it? But it's an institute, just like NITT. But NITT is not just about maritime, it's much more than maritime. So these are agencies, but let's discuss them one after the other. Most Nigerians will remember that by the time we took over, NIMASA was a contract awarding agency. But that's not what that's not the power the law gave to them. So you are hearing Faculty of Maritime, University of this, faculty, and built by NIMASA, taking public money belonging to, cabotage. It was cabotage funds. And by the time you knew it, they had established all these things. And once I came, I called the Dakuku, who was then the NIMASA DG. I don't want to see that. Go back to being a regulatory agency. You can't be an implementing agency. And that's one big achievement NIMASA has achieved now. And I continue to say this thing. Somebody came lobbying the villa for the appointment of the managing director of NIMASA. And the two of them, I won't want to call who they are. And when I saw them, they said, well, I see the president wants an appointment. I said, appointment for what? He said, NIMASA. I said, NIMASA? He said, yes. I said, what do you want to do with NIMASA? He said, dollars. Unfortunately for him, I was also waiting to see the president to get the appointment of who will be the DG of NIMASA. So he had hardly gotten home when we announced the appointment of Dakuku. So that's the impression everybody had about NIMASA, which I think by now we have corrected. I doubt that the DG of NIMASA is being harassed by contractors now. The people who are harassing the DG of NIMASA will be people who are looking for employment, because they claim that NIMASA's salary is by far higher than that of the civil servants and other agencies in the ministry. I think that PAMSEC, you need to look at that. There are railway importantly. Railway is not fair. If you see railway staff, you will know. You can differentiate between railway staff and other agencies in the ministry. PAMSEC, I beg you. No, we're not talking about civil servants now. These are if you want, this is business. It's not they're not civil servants. They have to compete with other companies that are doing similar businesses. And don't forget, we're trying to get other companies to come into operating railways. If those companies come in and they're paying better, we will lose all our staff. So it's not about civil service. Civil service, all of us will work there. But railway has to compete to survive. And I think, again and again, I've told the MD of Railway, let's do something about the salary of the staff of Nigerian Railway Corporation. I just think so. No, I don't want to talk about this safe anchorage area. What's happening at Ladol, those are... PAMSEC, you even talk of pension and appointments. Civil servants. Okay, inland waterways. We've moved from Massa. Inland waterways, maybe why is the MD of Nigerian Inland Waterways? Oh, you are representing him. Maybe you will discuss this, because I actually will say that when they ask questions, you will answer. The only thing I know I can talk about in inland waterways is the fact that it's a big challenge to the ministry. We shouldn't hide it. Because until you are able to dredge nearly all the inland waters, you cannot have safe navigation. And there are security threats. But I think that people are trying to expand the shallow ways, removal of wrecks. But those are details. Those are not things I want to say. We put even the villages here. You didn't put my village. We have small water, no matter how small it is. So I'm going to just flip through inland waterways, believe me. I'm just going to flip it. When you ask questions, you ask the person who is here to represent the MD. The maritime safety, we're coming to an end of what we are doing in the maritime safety. That is handled by NIMASA. We will soon launch those infrastructures. 2 special mission vessels, 17 fast interceptor boats. We are doing that to secure our water. Our water currently is not secure. And a lot of Nigerians are benefiting from the insecurity. So we need to clean them out and help to ensure that those things, our waterways are secured. We have the mandate of the cabinet to do it quickly. They gave us less than 6 months to get all the equipment and personnel into the water. Interagency collaboration. People will answer, unless between we and others, but the agencies, the ministry will have to decide, have to tell us if they are collaborating, because I have not had any complaint. The other part that will be of interest is the road transport, and I've discussed earlier what the ministry was doing in that regard. But essentially, they are managing our ECOWAS protocol on road management. The ministry is managing that, and why are we managing that? Is to facilitate trade. The moment you don't facilitate trade, then you are in trouble. So they have, we have major schemes at the national borders. We have the SEME border is completed, and I don't know if it's in our budget. PAMSEC, that thing was handed over to us. Okay, not you, it's the Minister of State. That SEME border was handed over to us officially to manage. So I hope that, okay, it's doing well. Okay. So Ilela, and there were other places where we are building border posts because we have to manage that. An example is the Ilela one, which is almost completed, not almost. The ones that are nearing completion are the ones at Jibia and the one at Idiruku. I've talked about the road transportation transformation program, which the minister introduced, and how far is doing with ensuring that we have safety, we have efficiency and effectiveness in road management, and security and safety. I hope that we know that there is a difference between security and safety. Security deals with this, like armed robbery, attack, and other. Safety is driving in a manner that you don't put others in danger. And if you see what the ministry is doing, what the road transport brings in is to complete the intermodal means of transport with the air being taken away now. But you now have water and road. All this will boil down to trade facilitation and ease of doing business handled by the land Transport Department. And after, most of these things are done through the Land Transport Department. Inland dry ports. I hope that the ES is here to answer these questions, because they will ask you specifically about those inland dry ports. I'm aware that the one in Kaduna has been completed. I don't know how efficiently it is being run. I can't say whether it's being run efficiently or not. And I'm sure the pressman should be able to answer that question. The others are under construction. Some of them are under construction. There is one major one we're trying to build at Ibadan. The owners or the guys who won the bid are CROCCI or so. We are concluding it. Capacity building. The other one I will talk about in capacity building will be the fact that we sent a lot of our children overseas for training in China. We also intend to send some of them for training in Portugal. Once they start the Kano Maradi, before September, we should have gone through the transparent process of selecting 300 persons that will go to Portugal to study. Mostly transport-related courses. They'll be sponsored by the contractor for their first degree. I don't know about masters. That I know. And again, our ministry staff are encouraged to go for training. Some are even sponsored for master's degree training. And I think we're doing well in that regard. I don't know if I've left anything apart from what happened during COVID. I'm careful to, Minister for State Transport, I'm careful to talk about palliative. Did you get the approval? We didn't get the approval. But we suggested that they should assist the land, not taxi drivers or others, but those major truck drivers or others in terms of COVID palliative. But I don't think we've gotten the approval yet. If I missed anything, we'll take it when you're asking questions. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for His Excellency, please. Before we continue, I would like to recognize the presence of the House Committee Chair on Education and Marine Transportation, Honorable Linda Chuba Ikbazu. A round of applause for her. For those of you who do not know, she used to be the most beautiful girl in Nigeria. And you will agree with me that she still is. A round of applause for her again. The minister said he was not going to accept commendations from Nigerians because he knows how we are. But what if the commendation were coming from Wole Soyinka? We all know that Wole Soyinka does not see anything good in this administration. But he was quick to point out that the Lagos-Ibadan railway line is a wonderful work that has been achieved by the Federal Ministry of Transportation. He said at one time he had a program in Lagos and he was wondering how he was going to go by the road. So he now decided to try the train from Abeokuta to Lagos. He got to Lagos in record time, did his business in Lagos and took the afternoon train back to Abeokuta in time to eat his lafun. So I think that the Federal Ministry of Transportation deserves a round of applause. Please join me. And what I'm going to say now, I'm not solely responsible for it. MD Nigeria Railway, it's the minister that started it too. At one time, a man brought a monkey to a gathering and everybody was trying to make the monkey to enter the cage. Even the owner could not get the monkey to enter the cage. Everybody tried. Then one haggard-looking man just came and whispered to the monkey, and the monkey ran into the cage. And then people were now saying, how did this happen? And then they asked the man, what did you say to the monkey? And he said, I told him I work for the Nigerian Railways. But that was railway of before. Now all of us want to work in the Nigerian Railways. We have submitted our applications to the MD. Having said that, gentlemen of the press, this is your time, and we know how we do it. You tell us your name, and you tell us your medium. And please, just a question. Just a question. Don't give us questions that have so many strings attached. Just give us one question that is rounded and to the point. We're going to have about 5 questions, except the ministers decide otherwise. Okay, we're going to take the first 5. So please indicate by raise of hand. I can see a lady at the back. Please walk up to this front, the 5 of you. We'll take 5 now. After they react to the questions, then we take the next 5. Thank you. The first 5 should come forward, then the next 5 should wait on the wings.
Good day, Honorable Minister, and everybody here. I am Victor Mba Abai. I report for Good Shepherd newspaper published by the Catholic Church. Honorable Minister, you did mention about people who criticize the narrow gauge as against the standard wide gauge. Actually, my own concern is people travel from Port Harcourt to Kano by rail. And there are those who travel from Lagos to Kano. And I know that there's a difference between the two. What happens if somebody is traveling from Port Harcourt to, or rather wants to travel from Port Harcourt to Kano? And what does he do if he gets to, the train running on the narrow gauge, how does it now run along to Kano?
Thank you.
Since the gauges are different. Then my second question is this.
This is one. Thank you. Maybe ask 2 questions. Fast.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. My second question is, why do we have to depend on loans to construct the railway lines? Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Ministers. My name is Chidi Ogu. I write for Daily Independent. I jotted a question while you were speaking. Okay. Chidi Ogu is my name. I write for Daily Independent. Honorable Minister, sir, the National Council on Transportation was held in 2018, if I recall correctly. I want to know, sir, why has it not been held again? Because I understand the idea is, for stakeholders to rub minds and find a way of making progress. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. This way. Sanitize.
Honorable Ministers, good morning. My name is Jude Idu. I work with this Nigerian newspaper. Sir, let me take you a little bit the other side. I want to know about the unfair activities of freight activity in Nigeria, which is not well organized. What is the council regulation is doing to make sure that the freight activities in Nigeria is more productive? Secondly, you said about the issue of the 10 million naira palliative to the registered transport associations. I want to know, sir, just a clarification, because my brother has a transport company, and he told me you're covering this transportation ministry. When are they going to disburse this money for us? Because we are having problems. This COVID-19 have actually dealt with us. When is that money actually going to be disbursed? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, honorable ministers. I'm Stella Enenche. I report for Metro Daily. My question is, what's the updates on port automation, and what are the programs in place to help in decongesting the ports? Thank you.
Good morning, honorable minister. My question actually is to NIMASA. I would like to know what NIMASA is doing about getting seat time bed for cadets. I would also like to have an update on the Lekki Deep Sea project and the Blue Deep Sea projects. Thank you. Okay. Okay, sir, I said that I would like to know what NIMASA is doing about getting seat time beds for cadets. That's one. I would also like for you to give us an update on the Lekki Deep Sea project and on the Deep Blue Sea projects too. Thank you.
I'm Professor Odewumi, SG, and the Chairman Road of Chartered Institute of Transport. I salute my president that is seated here, Dr. Jamo. I must commend the minister that has become a professional. In the School of Transport, we said we want to make you a professor there. Having been dragged to Lagos about 4 or 5 years ago at the Lagos Radio House. From then till now, I think you have become a full professional in transport matters. One sharp thing is the transport policy that your ministry is trying to draw at. To say that we don't have a transport policy is a blight, a thing of shame. And I have a feeling, because I've been called to the vineyard to work on the paper. So I'm pleading that whatever it will take, and whatever little error, there is no perfect transport policy. Immediately you put it in place, there will be new variables that will come in. That minister will do everything with this team, because it will be a landmark document that your team was able to deliver the first national transport policy. After you have it in place, let all scholars go to town and start criticizing to make it better. God will help you. Thank you very much, sir.
That's intimidation for information. Narrow gauge, what happens when he wants to? No. This is technical. I know the answer, but let's come and answer. MD Railway. Because the question is simple. He's asking, you are transporting from Port Harcourt to Kano at Kafacha, is it Kafacha? You move.
Port Harcourt to Kano.
Yes. from Kawachan, you go to Kaduna. How do you move from narrow gauge to standard gauge? That's the question he asked. How will the train move from narrow gauge to standard gauge?
In this contract, a place called Rigachuku, there's going to be a transshipment yard that under 30 minutes to 1 hour, if you have 25 wagons on narrow gauge, will be transferred to a standard gauge bogie. And the same way, if you are coming from standard gauge, you want to move to narrow gauge, you also transfer it from narrow gauge to a standard gauge bogie to narrow gauge bogie. It's part of the contract on Port Harcourt, Manduguri, branching to Kaduna. That facility will be built at Rigachuku in Kaduna.
I've heard this 100 times. What is boogie? How does a man know what a boogie is? He gets to Kaduna. Will he come down and enter the train going to Kano, or the narrow gauge train will just go into the standard gauge? What is boogie?
Okay. The boogie is what runs on the track. That determines what fits the track size. Whether it's the 1065 millimeter, 67 millimeter, which is the narrow gauge, or the 1435 millimeter, which is the standard gauge. So because of the center of gravity, the bogies are different. So for the narrow gauge, it is smaller, and the wider gauge is, well, that's why you call, we also have wheel and tire, like you have on a car, on a rolling stock. That is wagon, coaches, or locomotive. So where the wagon will sit on for it to move are detachable on the body of the complete wagon. So that is the bogie. You remove the frame and the top from the bogie. So that is what will be changing at Rigachuku.
I'm happy that the man who asked the question is a Catholic. Brother, don't worry. When I see it with my eyes, I will explain to you. But let me explain what he's saying. The bogie is what carries what you can refer to as a tire of the train. What he's saying is that when you get to Kaduna, the body of the train will move from the narrow gauge bogie to a standard gauge bogie, and you continue your journey. Thank you, MD. But when I see it, since you can't, and I will say further. Why do we have to depend on loan? Good question. And I like to ask Nigerians this question: why do we have to depend on loans? When we had money, what do you do with the money? Nobody Nigerian asked that question. There was a time we had money. There was a time oil was being sold at 110, 115, 114, 120. What happened to the money? Nobody asked that question. Now, because by the time we came to power, all that money had gone. They had disappeared. And we still need to function. And to be able to function, we had to borrow money. And you see, the difference between the loan we are taking and the loans others took is that the money is not paid to the federal government. After we have certified that the contractor has worked, the lending authority will pay the contractor. So it's not like, you can't say Amechi has chopped our money, because they will not pay it to Ministry of Transport. They will only pay it to the contractor after Ministry of Transport has certified that that job has been done. So we are taking loans because when we had money, we didn't do what we were supposed to do. We have to borrow money to be able to do what we need to do to survive as a country. That's why we're taking loans. Why have we held it? Why haven't we held Transport National Council? Oh, yeah.
We're supposed to hold it. It's 2 yearly. So we're supposed to hold it last year because of the COVID. That didn't happen. Hopefully this year we should be able to hold the council. Thank you. Okay, the person who has the question, she says this year, it's a biannual conference. So it was supposed to hold last year. Unfortunately, we couldn't. It was supposed to hold in Imo State. And unfortunately, we couldn't. So this year, we will hold it. Jude, you asked about the acceleration in freight activities. Freight. Where is the man in charge of freight forwarding? Yeah, come and answer the question. But it's supposed to be MPA and Evo.
Why is freight activities disorganized?
But since our inception coming up in 2007, a lot of things have been done. We went to FIATA in Switzerland, the world body that regulates freight forwarding. And by His grace, my office, CRFFN, is representing Nigeria in that body. And since then, we got the leading to accredited tertiary institutions that will engage in the training of freight forwarders. So since then, over 16 tertiary institutions have been accredited by my office. And we have such tertiary institutions as Benue State, Unilag, UNN, Gombe, and the rest of them. So there is also the training of the trainers organized by FIATA. They came over to Nigeria and they trained some lecturers who are now training some freight forwarders that will carry on the remaining training for freight forwarders. As I'm talking to you now, there is a building, there is an office, and a training office in Life Camp going on now, almost completion. Nigeria Institute of Freight Forwarding. When it is completed, all those trained by FIATA will train others, freight forwarders, to get them to know more about how to do their businesses. And since our inspection, we have, for the first time, Nigeria have the first maiden register of qualified freight forwarders. It was not like that before. So the essence is to eliminate touts and sanitize the industry. So I'm saying that my office is doing something. The training is ongoing now in all these accredited tertiary institutions by FIATA, our world body. So it is hopefully that in the next 5 years, the country will be able to turn out over 5,000 people that will have professional diploma accredited by FIATA. So by these freight forwarders. And the era of sharp practices, we believe, will be a thing of the past. So my office is doing something, the council is doing something to make sure that the people are professionalized. They get the right training so that we can compete, we'll be at par with our other counterparts of other nations.
Thank you, Madam. Tell your Oga, you should do me an analysis of what the current situation is. What is the situation? What is the way forward? Because I joined the man to say you are still disorganized. All this grammar you speak is just grammar. The next one.
It's okay, sir.
I want that paper.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I say, PAMSEC, Honorable Minister, I can answer on your behalf if you want me to. Palliatives.
Excuse me.
Thank you. On the question on the 10 billion palliative, just get my veil is stuck in the chair. I think the minister is going to have to buy me a new one. Thank you. On the 10 billion palliative that the gentleman asked about, this money right from the beginning, the Ministry of Transportation has been very clear. This money was domiciled with Federal Ministry of Trade, and the two ministries were to discuss and see issues of how the funds should be disbursed to the transport operators and workers. That is exactly what the funds was for, transport workers and transport operators. We never, at no point in time, did the Ministry of Transportation say the money was domiciled with us. At no point in time, it was very clear. We had discussions with the various unions and associations, and they came and we made our recommendation to the Ministry of Trade. And the funds that most of the operators, the gentleman who asked the question, the funds that Trade gave out were given to individual workers and not necessarily to the union. Now, the Honorable Minister also mentioned the fact that we as a ministry are looking at a road transformation program, which includes trying to get access to funding for transport operators. That will enable them to buy the new fleet of vehicles and what have you to put on the road. And capacity access to funds and operator capacity is one of such that we're doing. So I'm sure that we've discussed this before. We've made it clear to the various unions and associations that I'm sure the gentleman's friend or brother is part of, that the fund, the 10 billion, there's no fund missing. There was no fund with us in the Ministry of Transportation. It has been with Ministry of Trade. Trade has been very transparent in the manner in which they executed our fund. In the meantime, we're trying to see how we, as the Ministry of Transport, can speak and discuss with government, especially Ministry of Finance and Central Bank, of how to have a particular fund specifically for the operators of road transport. Thank you.
Yeah, where is MPA? What is the update on port automation? You know, MPA is bigger than the ministry, so you come here and answer the question. Port automation and what are people doing to decongest the seaport?
Good morning. In MPAs, now what we have done so far is to automate some of the processes. For instance, we have the eSend, that's the electronic ship entry notice. It makes it easier for shipping companies to log in and get their entry notices without necessarily doing it manually. Payment is also automated. Issuing of receipts is automated. Downloading of manifests is automated. So it's a gradual system. But I know that nationally, federal government has been working on national single window. The essence here is that once Nigerian Ports Authority has concluded automating its own processes, other government agencies will also log into that national single window, and it makes the operations of the port. So when you say the ports, it's not just the seaports, it also means the airports. But our processes have been automated over time. We have started using Oracle Financial System. It makes it easier to also monitor activities, payments of shipping companies, terminal operators, and so on and so forth. In the last 1 or 2 years, we have improved on the automation of our processes. And I'm sure the shipping companies can testify to that. What did you say, sir? The congestion of what? Now, the congestion of the seaport is a multifaceted problem. Just like we have always said, the quantity of goods coming into the country cannot be evacuated effectively through the roads, no matter how wide those roads are. It's not effective, it's not efficient. And that's why the multimodal transport system is more useful. We have recently given barge licenses to barge operators to evacuate boxes, that's containers, from the port to other jetties and locations to make it easier for clearing. It therefore means that the trucks do not need to necessarily get to the ports. Recently, we have launched the electronic truck call-up system, whereby truck owners will register online. The owners of containers will also register in the e-call-up. Before a truck passes a certain location, it's supposed to have entered designated truck parks. Some of the truck parks will be in neighboring states of Ogun, Ondo, Oso. In partnership with Lagos State Government, there are also truck parks within Lagos. So there will be a sequence of movement of trucks. You come in and park at a designated outer truck park. You get a text via your phone, email, informing you can move to the next truck park, so on and so forth, before you get to Lily Pond. The essence here is to reduce the practice where truck owners just get into a papa and park. Over 70% of the trucks in that area actually just go and park there waiting for business, for someone to call them to load their containers. So this reduces that. It also means that it brings efficiency in terms of clearing of containers and goods. The terminal operators have been mandated also to ensure that they export almost the same quantity of containers they bring in out of the country. We realize that the shipping companies and terminal operators have turned the country into a dumping ground for empty containers. So we are monitoring the quantity of empty containers they are exporting out of the country. The essence here is that we need them to create more holding base for both cargo that is coming in and holding bays for empty containers. That will ensure that there is more space for these containers. Because some of the shipping companies have just turned the trucks into where they park their containers, so that way they don't allow the trucks to come in. They have also been asked to ensure that they have holding bays outside the port. So that way an importer takes out his container, empties it outside the port. When he's returning the empty container, let it be dropped outside the location of the port. So the truck doesn't need to get to the port also. There have been various stakeholder engagements between MPA and other stakeholders to improve on things. The licensing of the badges also has increased. We have created a standard operation manual procedure with the badge operators. There are certain times they move. We have ensured that the quality of badges has improved to ensure that there are no losses or cases of accidents along the channel, so it doesn't block the channel. We are also going through the jetties that have been authorized and given licenses by the ministry to ensure that they also have capacity to receive this cargo that is coming from the barges. We are also checking the quality of the cranes they use. Some of them have weak cranes. Over time, we have a monitoring and regulatory services department that has been going around to ensure that these equipments are up to date. They are also very effective. Nigerian Railway has constructed their lines down to the berth, down into the ports, and of course, if that comes into full operations, that will also reduce the number of containers on the highway. So the congestion is a multifaceted thing, not just because you have too many trucks. You also have slow movement of trucks because of the bad roads. Don't also forget, you also have so many tank farms within that location. The tank farms are not within our purview, but we have been holding meetings with the tank farm and informing them that there is need for them to also join the call-up system. That way the tankers coming into that area will also be synergized in terms of movement. So that's what we're doing, sir.
Thank you, thank you. NIMASA, where is NIMASA DG? Sea time beds and deep sea project.
All right, honorable ministers, the Chair House Committee on Marine Transport, my colleagues, ladies, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I think she asked about 3 questions. One has to do with time baths. So far, under the NSDP program, we train about 2,600 Nigerians. And we have been sending them on sea time training on first come, first serve. So far on our record, we have outstanding of 600 cadets yet to go on sea time. And any moment from now, a part of that 600, 250 will be dispatched under the 2020 budget. And we expect a similar number for the 2021 budget. So before the end of this year, it is our sincere hope that we are going to clear the NSDP 1, NSDP 2 sea time training. So that is on the issue of sea time berth. The second issue has to do with Deep Blue project. Those who are following the history of the maritime insecurity will recall that.
Stop sharing food. Stop sharing food. Stop. Oh yeah, those ushers out. Since we are not disciplined.
Well, on the issue of Deep Blue project, those who are following the history of the crisis we have been experiencing in terms of maritime insecurity, we recall that early last month, Mr. President, or late February, announced the cancellation of secured anchorage area. As at the time he had pronounced the cancellation, the Deep Blue project assets were achieved over 95% compliance, and that's they arrived Nigeria, we received them, and we are waiting for deployment. And immediately the president announced the cancellation of the skilled anchorage area. The Honorable Minister of Transportation directed that we should deploy the Deep Blue project assets. As at now, the Deep Blue project assets are in use. And we are just waiting for formal plugging of the official commencement of the Deep Blue project asset. So the only asset that we are yet to receive is the 2 special mission aircraft, which we hope to receive them 14th of April. And that is the complete asset of the Deep Blue project. The last question has to do with Lekki Deep Sea Port. I think this question is supposed to go to either Federal Ministry of Transportation or MPA. But I think I can attempt as member of family. I think last week, the Honorable Minister approved the inspection of the Lekki Deep Sea Port. I think shortly now they will go for the inspection. 55% of the project has been completed. The contractors, they are asking for the completion of the project by 2023, and the Honorable Minister approved the completion of the project by 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Transport policy, oh yeah? Yes. You and PAMSEC, you're in charge of transport policy. So PAMSEC will take first, then you can complete.
Thank you very much. The National Transport Policy is a document that has been in the pipeline for more than 5 years. And as at the last time it went to the council, a FEC committee was constituted to look at some issues that arose from the draft that was submitted. And this came back to the technical committee, and we looked at it, corrected the issues that were raised, and have sent back the documents to the FEC committee headed by the Vice President. And we did that in February. Despite the fact that we did that, we still looked at that document yesterday. That's the steering committee on the document with the technical heads. So as we speak, that document is being rejigged again for us to make our submissions to the ministers. And once they agree with it, we send it back to the Vice President Committee. We are hoping and working towards delivering a national transport policy to Nigeria before July 31st, by the grace of God. So once we have that, other policies from the subsectors are going to be flowing from there. We are already looking at the maritime transport policy, the road transport policy. All that is documented in our write-up. And the starting point is the national transport policy. So just like Professor Dewumi has pleaded that the ministry should make sure we deliver this, we want to deliver it. And the committee looking at this is beyond transportation. Budget and national planning was there yesterday. Works and housing, road safety, all the agencies in transportation, because it's a national document. And because we need it to be able to move the transport sector forward, it's a priority for us. And those who know me know I work with timeline. I just don't say we are working on documents for years. And so our target is that July 31st, by the grace of God, we should be able to deliver documents to Nigeria. Thank you.
Yes, you have anything to add?
At present, our ports are manual, but we need to accelerate the automation of the ports. Some terminals have reached up to 90% automation, and many procedures are done online. We need to have 7 days dwell time for cargo. What we have is 21 days at present, which means it will take you 21 days to clear your cargo. We need to reduce it to 7. 21 days is not acceptable. 7 is in fact the regional average. We want to even make it more, but automation has much to do with this. Why will anybody go to the ports and demand for arrival time of a ship when you can do it online, or ask for receipts, or even bill of lading? We have to really come together. The terminals, the shipping lines, MPA, NIMASA, the banks, and custom. One thing is the clearance procedure also. It's also primitive. The custom need to examine every container manually. That will take 5 hours. If we have scanners, that will take 5 minutes. So custom has promised, and I think this is going to happen, that we'll have X-ray machines or scanners or whatever, at the ports, so that there will be accelerated procedure. Shippers Council is the lead agency on port manual, and we have been able to discover within just 1 month that there's a lot of corruption at the ports. That's why Nigerian ports are expensive. There are no formal charges, but they are under the table charges. Look at the boarding of vessels, for example. If a ship comes, the agencies, those who are supposed to board the vessel, those who are not, are all crowded, and they go into the ship and demand bribes. We have been able to make a mark and stop that. We have made some arrests, we have collected money, and the shipping companies are now, the shipping liners are now aware that one cannot just board the vessel. There should be joint boarding and time allotted. 30 minutes. Go do your business and come out. The same thing with clearance. We have to do it international standard. It's done in every port. So as time goes, I think there is prospect. We are sanitizing the port. Another thing is the port must operate 24 hours. Why is it our port operates only 12 hours? And from Monday to Friday. Weekends, everybody goes home. There must be 24 hours. The airports work 24 hours. The plane lands at 3 a.m., at 2. So why wouldn't Nigerian ports work 24 hours? You clear the cargo. We need everybody to be on that. The Federal Ministry of Transportation, which is the busiest ministry in Nigeria, still need to work with the customs, because customs is under Ministry of Finance. We still need to do a lot of work. We are doing that now. If you travel from Lagos with the truck up to Kano, there is no single checkpoint by custom. Now, custom doesn't check anything. But then we have the problem of police also interfering. I'm seeing the new Inspector General of Police on Monday to see that police don't interfere in clearance of cargo. So automation is the key, and cooperation is the answer to most of the problems at the ports. Thank you very much.
Okay. Let me tell you what I was doing when he was speaking. I was praying to God that nobody should raise his hands again. No more questions, right? Who is that? Oh. Please.
Introduce and ask your question. Okay, good afternoon, sir. My name is Esther Duke. I'm covering for Silverbird. Honorable Minister, sir, I want to ask, please, what is the update on the extension of the rail line from Itakwe to Lokoja and to Abuja? And then, no, I'm not, but most times, okay. Well, my second question is, what is the update on the establishment of the Maritime Development Bank that is meant to finance maritime development in the West African region? Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Honorable Ministers. My name is Gift Olivia Samuel. I report for the Site News Online. My question is about the e-ticketing platform. During the Easter period, that platform was actually blocked, and many Nigerians tried to access it. It was almost impossible. Most people had to go to the stations to get tickets at exorbitant prices. What is the ministry doing to avoid such occurrence or reoccurrence? And also, the platform is a little bit difficult to access. What is the ministry doing to make it easier for Nigerians to access that platform?
Thank you. All right. Good day, Honorable Minister. My name is Gift Wada. I report for Business Day newspaper. My question is the profitability of the rail. We do understand that the rail is a social infrastructure, but of course you can't take the business angle from it. Okay, just like the road infrastructure, we have the infrastructure and then private sector actually use it for business. So now, is this rail infrastructure open for private sector to own locomotives for businesses? And also, in the long run, we are trying to look, how do you intend to sustain, to manage it? I'm talking about profit now. And then my second question is, as we look forward to having a national transport policy, talking about intermodal transportation, what are your plans to ensure the interconnectivity between these four systems of transportation? Are the rails going to connect to the airports, of course the seaports, and the land transport? So how serious is this? Thank you.
No discussion, Christy. No discussion.
Sorry?
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister. My name is Ignatius Ushe. I write for the #1 transport newspaper in Nigeria, Transport Day newspaper. My question is for Director Man Oron. I remember that I can recall that in the last graduation set, a lady was among, if not declared even the best student in that set. Please, sir, can you give us an update on what and how the management of the school is doing to continue to encourage more female students in that place? Thank you very much.
Good day, Honorable Minister. Roman Sugu is my name. I'm still writing for the Sun newspaper. Honorable Minister, I was tempted to take you on what I may consider a slip that your staff, in one way or the other, compromise racketeering. But let's shove it aside. Sir, can you tell Nigerians?
Why do you want to shove it aside? It was a serious statement. Look, I was part of the system that built up that structure. If you follow that structure, there will be no ticket racketeering. The only way you can racketeer that ticket is when you buy as many tickets as you want to buy, and they don't match your face to the ticket. Then you can go. So, and the only person who does that is a staff of the NRC or staff of the company who has a contract. So it wasn't a careless statement. It was a statement I made. I only warned the MD. I've done that on phone. That you should go and find out who is doing that. You better sack them or throw them out of that place. Because if you put serious people there who won't compromise, then there will be no need for this. The reason why you're having this crisis on e-ticketing is because people are compromising at the point of the station. The computer will not compromise. Don't say that again.
It's noted, sir. My question, sir. Can you be magnanimous enough, sir, to tell Nigerians currently how much is our debt profile? How much have we borrowed for railway so far? Thank you, sir.
Don't worry, I will show you the office of the Minister for Finance. You can ask him.
Good afternoon,
honorary ministers and other distinguished guests here present today. I'm Chris Agabi, and I work with the Daily Trust newspaper. Honorary Minister, I'd just like a clarification on the Kano Maradi. I was having a conversation with someone in industry, and he said that he understands that particular project is a concession with the contractor. So I just want to get that clarification. Is it a concession? Just to raise that case. And if it is not, are there particular terms the government is having with that particular contractor on that project? And again, linking, we're talking about linking the rail lines to the ports. I also want you to reiterate the connectivity plans with the dry port. I think that is also important as well. Thank you.
My name is Oru Leonard of News.Africa. Just to get an update on the establishment of the truck transit parks by shippers, by Shippers Council. Just the update is what we need. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, honorable ministers. My name is Ezin Azun, Maritime TV. I would like to know what the status of the fishing terminal is at the moment. I know it was at Kirikiri, and after a while it was shut down. The place was concessioned. So I would like to know what that status is and how many new ships have been added to our register in the last 3 years. Thank you.
How many new ships have been added to our register this year, or since we came? Nimasa, wait, let me see if there are other questions for you.
Thank you very much, sir. We have about 12 additional ships added in our own registry. However, this does not include the barges that we are now registering, which they are adding to the tonnage of the country. So the standard ones we have about 12 in our own registry. Thank you. I think there is a second question on Maritime Bank. Yeah, there is a question on Maritime Bank. We have concluded the processes of Maritime Bank. The governing board inaugurated. What is left now, the Council of Ministers will sit in the next 2 months and determine the date for the commencement of the operations of the Maritime Bank with headquarters in Nigeria. Thank you.
Okay. MD Shippers Council, yes. You have 2 questions. Dry port, linking it to the seaport, and truck. 2 of them.
On the dry ports, we have made progress. The Minister of State, when she came, ordered us to have these dry ports completed. But the dry ports are part of the public-private partnership that is ongoing. Kaduna is doing well, except for rail connection, which I think the MD, Nigerian Railway Corporation, is working towards linking Kaduna with rail. Otherwise, it is also a center for export, and that is very important. We have to designate the dry port as centers for export, where we have certification, standardization, and also some factories, to process agricultural produce things. Like, we are very good with ginger internationally, but our ginger is exported raw, which means no value addition. We need to talk with prospective investors to come to Kaduna and make some addition. And the French government is sending a delegation very soon. We are working with them to see that private sector come and make Kaduna a real dry port. There are, of course, prospects in Kano. Government spending about 2 billion on Kano dry port. We have others, Ibadan, which we have just a small problem with transaction advisors, and we are going to complete that. And we hope when the president commissions the Lagos Ibadan, he will also, commission or build the foundation for Ibadan dry port. Truck transit parks also very important to take the trucks off the highway. If you traveling by road, you see them congregate in many places, causing a nuisance to the environment, degrading the environment, and slowing down delivery of cargo. So we want to build truck villages. There are many sites in Lokoja. Kaduna government, we started, Kaduna has already done their own. We're encouraging other states, but we're encouraging the private sector to come and do it also. We have a small problem with Ministry of Works, and I hope this will be ironed out very soon. But we're on it, building infrastructure, because transport infrastructure, means that the economy is geared to produce. If you have lousy infrastructure, you have lousy economy. But if you have infrastructure like Lekki Deep Seaport, it's a very, very important, landmark that we're doing. The connection of rail to seaports, must also extend to the dry port. Like in Kano, it is already taken. In Ibadan, in Kaduna, all are connected with the rail to ensure efficiency of this. Thank you.
I just want to add something on the truck transit park that you mentioned. The ministry has received from both private sector and the Nigerian Army to partner in establishing these truck transit parks. So we're working on that, and hopefully soon we'll have most of these up and going. Thank you.
Okay, the Itabetu-Lokoja is a very complex contract. But we're coming to an end. Before we leave, we'll try and sort it out. But there is Itabetu-Lokoja. E-ticketing, MD Railway. You have 3 questions. E-ticketing platform, difficult to access. It was shut down during the Easter. How profitable is the rail and how sustainable is it? That's another question for you. Kano Maradi is, no, you won't know that one. I will answer that. Those are the 2 questions. E-ticketing platform, profitability of the rail.
Okay. I think everybody here should be happy with the e-platform, in the sense that you can, from your home or anywhere, you can now book the ticketing. But Nigerians, being what they are, have gone extra mile. So the Honorable Minister talked about matching name to the ID card. We have that system in place that we created, like we have in FAN, that security unit, to now be checking people boarding. And it was deliberate that you cannot buy more than 2 tickets at a time. So people complain that they cannot access the platform, and those people who have created multiple emails to be able to buy more tickets than is approved. And most times they forget their password. So we have traced it from the back end section of the system, that people created multiple email, like 20, 40, to enable them accumulate the ticket and block other people. And the system is fighting back. So when you have more than one email on the system, and you want to register another one and you can't access it, you'll be calling the MD that the platform is blocked. The other point is that we are cross-checking. People, there is what they call a razor, a software called a razor, that if Mr. A will buy a ticket, And you will edit the name, because without the name matching your ID, you can't board. They will edit that name to match the person that is actually traveling, that they have sold the ticket to. We have also ensured that the font of the, if the name doesn't match the font of the ticket, that you can't use it to travel. And people are not happy with that. What we've discovered that somebody that is traveling from Regasa will buy to Jere, for instance, different amount, and whereas he's coming to Idu. And when he gets to Idu, he's not able to get out because of the gated system that the e-ticket should allow you to come out. You will try to cause a problem. As people will buy tickets from Kubwa to Regasa, and they want to board at Idu, and you cannot pass through the speedster to board. Those are the problems we have, and we meet every week to review the system so that we can be updating it. So I would say they should exercise patience, because you have people who are working very hard, not only to discredit this, the e-ticketing, even to discredit the system and the government. So I promise that we are working hard with the platform provider to ensure such elements and people are prevented from sabotaging the government efforts. That is about e-ticketing. For a time, the Deputy Commissioner of Nigerian Railway Police was between Abuja and Kaduna high officer to ensure that if the name of the ticket doesn't match your ID, you cannot. And severally, we have arrested people with such situation. The person that called the Honorable Minister that forwarded the text, I was able to get him yesterday, and I begged him, can you, because he said he could not get ticket, and he begged somebody, he called either a staff of the platform provider or railway to help me get a ticket. And he was able to provide the ticket at the rate of 10,000. So I now called him. I said, this is MD Railway, just yesterday here. Please, can you provide that person that helped you to get the ticket so that we can start our investigation from there? And he refused. I'm not a magician. There's no way. Because when you have covered such a thing and you are crying, you are not helping the system. So we discussed for over 30 minutes trying to find a way of asking him, okay, this is the person that sold ticket for me, because you have to call the person to give you the ticket. There was no, so when you cry foul and you are not ready to come out and protect the system, I don't know how we can do that. On whether the race industry is meant for profit is a big question, and as I tell people, infrastructural and service that the government is providing, since we started doing business cases, that's why you have infrastructure getting decayed and decaying. When we were building, before we were born, infrastructure had been placed without talking about business case, because it is required for others, either commerce or the industry, to grow. So, why will I say I should do a business case for me to train my child to go to university, whether it's going to make money? The same thing is applicable to infrastructure. Why should I say nobody is talking about the roads, the flyovers? Are they recovering their money when they build them? But when it gets to railway, everybody become an expert and say, is the railway making profit? And they're happy using it. So the cost of building 1 kilometer of rail, let's say even $2.5 million. When do you think you will recover it to start maintaining the track? Not to talk of this thing. But do we need it? Do Nigerians or do the Nigerians need it? Yes. Why? Because when you have it, the person producing other items, it will get to the market at a cheaper rate than by going by road. People can travel with their peace of mind. And if we link Lagos, for instance, to Abuja, why will I wake up 5 a.m. when I know I can have a sleeper on the coach? I will sleep on the train and get back to Abuja this morning, finish my work, and use the same train and go back. I will save the money for hotel and sleepless night, because if you sleep off, you miss your flight. So those are the benefits that you cannot calculate in Naira and Kobo that comes with infrastructure, not just rail. Water, schools, you evaluate business case to establish a university. So those are the things I would want these Nigerians to take home, that if government is providing infrastructure, it's for the benefit and the other source, not whether the system will make the money direct. But the money I'm saving that we have, when you evaluate that cost, it will balance out the cost of the infrastructure. Thank you.
Man or run. 2 minutes, because MPA has to come out. Man, your question is, what efforts are you making to encourage female students?
Honorable ministers, distinguished guests, the minister said, blessed are you amongst women. And when I came to the academy as rector, if you check the nominal role, only 3
How does that affect
ladies.
investing? Tell us how to encourage women.
Sir? So we had, if you check, 3 ladies, 4, 5, just like that. But in my time, we've had 27. And with NIMASA behind the scene, they've been doing some things, quiz competitions related to maritime industry. We have also held more than 5 seminars and workshops for the girls in my environment, and also partnering with some other NGOs to see how they can encourage ladies to come. So this year, we're lucky to have 24. But one good thing about these ladies, if 26 ladies apply, you end up seeing 25 admitted, not because we give them concessions, strictly on merit. So we keep encouraging them, we want them. Even the IMO wants them on board. Thank you, sir.
The final one is MPA, fishing terminal. But let me answer the one on, Kano Maradi is not a concession, it's a contract. Kano Maradi is a contract, not a concession. MPA, fishing terminal.
The fishing trawlers are operating from both KLT1 and KLT2, that's Creek Creek Lighter Terminal 1 and 2. The current concessionaire is TICTP, something like that. We have asked the shipping trawlers to form an SPV, which they have. That SPV is going to be used to fund the processes. It's supposed to be a concession, actually, but there are sitting tenants currently there. And the place is currently, we believe, is underutilized. You have so many fishing trawlers, some of them have had long leases there, so they are being organized. One of the terminals, the concession process has started with BP and other stakeholders, while the other one, we are trying to amalgamate the shipping companies for various reasons. Number one, it's easier to monitor. It's easier to regulate. It's also easier to penalize should they go against laid down rules and regulations. Thank you.
Everybody's permission to invite the Minister for Information to address us. And here after that, we will then have a group photograph, and that will be the end.
Sir, the mic. The mic.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Not actually an address. I actually want to make a remark. The MD of the Nigerian Railway Corporation tried to explain the input, directly or indirectly, of the railway to the economy and the social development of the country. I just want to say that yesterday, my ministry organized a national workshop on national unity and security in Kaduna. But for the services that the Railway Corporation rendered, that town hall meeting would not have been successful at all, because about 8 ministers attended, the service chiefs attended, the Senate leader attended, so many other people, Mieti Allah, Pandef, and they all came by train. So you see, sometimes we cannot quite, equate the importance or the contribution of such infrastructure to our system. Thank you very much. And I think it's better I also please say a big thank you to the Minister of Transportation and the NRC for their service, because both on Wednesday, about 30 journalists went by train, and about 50 of us went by train on Thursday, and we all came back on Thursday. Thank you very much. But don't send a bill.
Even if we send you to go to Ministry of Finance, so the same government. Please, there are some questions I'd like to answer from the online people. He said, Calabar route. One Mrs. Usani is asking, there is no doubt that we'll forget all that. The whole of Nigeria. So please, Honorable Minister, how can, Madam, you didn't even write Honorable Minister, you wrote Monster. How soon can we also enjoy your generosity? The Lagos-Calabar route, we are currently negotiating the loans. Once we finish the negotiation of the loans, we'll commence construction. We'll do our best to start from Calabar because the roads are bad in Calabar. The next question is from Benjamin Alade to everybody. Okay, he writes for the Guardian newspapers. I would like to get further clarification on the 10 billion palliative. We have said it several times. It's not with us. If there's any palliative whatsoever, I think it's Ministry of Trade and Investment. The other question is that the rail system was supposed to be a cheaper way of transportation. Come, 2,500 air conditioned. Can you charter a taxi from, I just give example of Warri to Itabe at 2,500. When others are doing that with 1,000. What other thing are you talking about subsidy? Well, I think we are still cheaper. Dr. Ogu from Virginia Beach says, again, to subsidize the fares. We are trying our best to subsidize the fares. I don't think there's any other one now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Now we'll take the group photograph because the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture has a wedding to attend. And the directors of the ministry will please step forward and stand behind the high table for the first group of photographs. Then after that, we'll have the heads of agencies, and then we'll collapse and have directors of the ministries, please. Directors of the ministries, please come forward. You just stand behind the high table. After that, we take the heads of agencies and their representatives. And then any chairman of board available will also join. Directors of the ministries, are you here? All right. Hello? Are you done? You're done. Okay, now we have the heads of agencies and chairman of board, chairman governing boards. Heads of agencies, please. Heads of agencies, now is your turn. Chairman of governing boards, now is your turn, please. representatives of heads of agencies may also join. Okay, the journalists have asked that you should please indulge them with group photographs. So maybe a few of the journalists who are stakeholders of this event may join the high table for group photograph. Are we there? Chairman of Ataka and executive, group photograph with the high table. Are you ready? Chairman of Ataka. You are executive. Chairman of Ataka and executive. Some stakeholders in the media industry, please join. Ataka, Association of Transport Correspondents and Aviation. Okay, Honorable Minister, PAMSEC has to give the vote of thanks. She has not done that. PAMSEC has to do the vote of thanks. Kindly sit down. We'll take the vote of thanks now. You have been wonderful audience. After the vote of thanks, we take the national anthem and we go. Thank you.
Thank you.
The PAMSEC is on her feet. Please sit down. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, let's have the national anthem. The national anthem. I think somebody...
Thank you for tuning in and
thank you very much for coming. We wish you safe journey to your destination.
Have a great day.